I am delighted to be here today with Mr. Omar Thomas, who is with the only description I really have to come up with is he's a superstar in the
Oh,
world of American music these days. And
wow.
in fact, you're sort of everywhere. You're teaching in Paris, you've taught at Harvard, you're conducting, you're performing, you've composed this wonderful range of music that is so rooted in tradition, but it's so fresh and new. And I'm just delighted to chat with you.
That's my honor. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Well, thank you. And you're in are you in your office there now?
Oh, I'm here at home actually.
Oh, you're at home. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's probably pretty rare too with your schedule. Uh,
Yeah, well, I'm fortunate enough that I live pretty close to work, so I can just shimmy on over and be home when I need to be. But yeah, I'm actually flying out later this afternoon, so.
you're doing residencies,
Mhm.
performances, but your day gig, your official
Uh,
day gig
mhm.
is being a theory professor. Yes.
Correct. Yes.
So you weren't, my theory professor wasn't nearly as much fun as I bet you are, uh, or as demanding perhaps. Can
Oh
you
yeah, I mean, sure. This is a time-honored tradition, and it's given me my whole life. And music means so much to so many people. So yeah, we should put in the work to make sure that we're honoring, the past while looking forward to the future. Absolutely.
Yes, and that's probably your first speech to the kids, and they go, "Uh-oh, we're in trouble," right?
No, I've not had anyone run screaming from the room yet. So.
Okay. No, tell me, as somebody who has just jazz
Mhm.
deep in your past and in your future, do you approach before we talk about the piece? I mean, do you approach teaching theory in a different way than if you hadn't had this orientation?
Yeah, absolutely. And also just paying respect and honor to the music that I grew up with, and understanding that there's so much intersection between the traditional music of the past that's studied in conservatories and the music that's been made in American popular music in the last 100 years and the music that's out now. It's really important for me, and I tell my students this all the time. It's kind of my mission to build the bridge so that music theory doesn't just end up feeling like a 100% historical study as this thing that ended in 1940 and has no relevance to what's happening today. So I'll often be teaching a concept rooted in Bach or Mozart or Haydn, and then try to draw a direct parallel to what I do the other day. I did Smile by Charlie Chaplin. I did For Once in My Life by Stevie Wonder, because I felt like there was some overlap in sound and in concept and theory. So I think that's one of the joys of what I do, is to try to bridge these two worlds, this divide that I don't think should have been placed there in the first place.
Right. Well, and of course, there's so much that allows us to do this today that might not have been true 50, 60, 70 years.
Correct. Oh yes, absolutely. Technology, I got to say, is my best friend and my worst enemy in my classrooms. Right? It's wonderful when it works, but when it doesn't, I just sit there and they look at me and I look at them and I'm like, I don't know. But just being able to have a world of music at my fingertips to be able to just pull up what I need in the moment, and just take them through centuries, almost giving them whiplash, with the music that I present. I just love doing that.
Well, I'm sometimes glad that I was a little earlier in life when my biggest problem. I mean, certainly technology is what I use today, but I still remember digging the slides out with a hopefully plastic comb from
Yeah.
metal with a little
Right, right.
there. But again, that takes us back to our roots. Out of curiosity, when you think back to being a little one and you were doing a lot of incredible things very young, what are some of the memories of music that you think still fuel you, especially on days when you might feel like, oh, why am I doing this? Or I'd love to get some sleep. I mean, what do you look back to from your childhood?
I look back to being in eighth grade and being on our desktop computer in our basement and using this program that I don't think even exists anymore called Cakewalk Pro Audio, and checking out the marching band recordings from J.W. Pepper that year and transcribing them by ear at a time when I really didn't understand theory. So I didn't know that chords could not be a triad, right? So I would just listen for the bass. I'd put the bass note down and I would stack up notes a third and I would move them individually until it felt right. And that was invaluable training for me. Like I got a kick out of doing that as a kid. I mean, I was just in that basement for hours arranging and writing my own stuff on Cakewalk, and it got to the point where my ears really developed because of that kind of painful work that didn't feel like work to me at all. It felt like a blast, right? And also, I've had the most supportive educators in my life. I am 100% a product of public school music education. You know, I started in concert band when I was 7 years old on trombone in fourth grade, you know, and in Delaware. And, you know, we had a concert band, we had a symphony orchestra, you know, which was really remarkable. I think back and I remember one day in particular where we were playing this arrangement of A Whole New World from Aladdin. And I just remember looking out on the stage, and the stage was packed, and it was a full symphony orchestra. And this was like in fifth or sixth grade, you know. And then middle school, there was jazz ensemble, and in high school, there was marching band. And I joined the choir, and I just couldn't get enough. And I very fortunate to have educators who saw that in me and wouldn't mind me harassing them or hanging out in their office, and, you know, gave me opportunities to develop my leadership skills through music. So I feel like everything I owe is to dedicated music educators, dedicated family, parents who always supported me with my music and just gave me the space to grow in music.
Ah, so you are a champion and you fight that battle, I'm sure, every day you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because so few people in the world, if you look just in terms of the world today, understand that those band, choir, and orchestra directors save lives every day, don't they?
I mean, the heavy lifting that they do, you know, and they just deserve to be lauded on the biggest stage possible. And then my first degree is in music education, so many of my friends that I went to school with are now in the trenches doing that meaningful work, you know. And they talk about, you know, these 18-hour days and 19-hour days and going to festivals, and they're all tired, but they love it and they support each other, and it's just really, truly life-saving work, like you said.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, tell us about the piece come Sunday, because that's certainly going to be
Sure.
one of the centerpieces of the upcoming concert. And I just want to hear it from you.
Absolutely. So this is a piece of music that I'm so excited that I got to write. Also, it's one of those pieces of music that as I was growing up playing in concert band from age 7 all the way into college, that I just couldn't believe that no one had thought to write before. And I guess that was an issue of representation, and, you know, who has access to this kind of space to have their music played, right? So what it is it's a study in a way of the Hammond organ's role in Black church music. And it's in two parts. The first part is called Testimony, which is just kind of like this slow, inspirational, you know, speaking about the goodness of the Lord in your life, and, you know, having that music swell behind you as that happens. And then the second movement is just a good old fashioned church and praise shout. You know, it's exciting, it's a romp, it gets you on your feet, you know, and you let go, and you let the Spirit use you, as it said in the culture, you know. And I'm hoping that it's not just in the audience. I hope that the musicians on stage feel the freedom to just let go as well, even though they have a million notes to play, so they might be a little focused on getting those notes in. But, you know, just let it go and just have a great time with it.
I don't see how they couldn't,
Right.
based on what I've been able to hear. You know, as you said, your technology are best and worst friends. And so
Hmm.
I was able to listen to different things that are available that you've done online. And it was just tremendous. And also where you explain some of the pieces in sort of these
Yeah.
shops with high schoolers. And they
Mhm.
must be thrilled when you're able to appear with them. And
That's the biggest honor of what it is that I am fortunate enough to be able to do now, is as I'm going to do today. And I'm heading to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, and just getting to meet with young musicians and directors who have embraced me and embraced my music, and just getting to share with them who I am and what I do and what I believe through my music is, I mean, such a gift. It's such a gift.
well, and it is, and it's the kind of thing where it's like giving an heirloom. You know that when you give a, I don't know, a piece of fine china, it's going to go on and on. It's
Yeah.
of value. It's something that only someone like you can do as well, and those who did it for you. So, the Dallas Winds is so dedicated to music education, to saving those kids, getting in the trenches.
Yeah.
So I can see why that's a perfect fit with this group of musicians and the loyalty that the audience has and the players.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be rocking and rolling on that stage. I'm pretty sure.
Well, if I can just interject and say that probably my all-time absolute favorite band CD, and it may not even just be a band CD. I feel like it's a CD that transcends genres to me, is the Dallas Winds recording of Ron Nelson's music. So the Holidays and Epiphany CD is everything. It is
Ah,
like one of the best CDs in the world. And so I'm still absorbing the fact that this same group will be playing one of my pieces. I can't even process it.
Well, I'm sure. Well, I'm. That's a wonderful thing, and isn't that a wonderful way to be about opportunities rather
Yeah.
than, oh, yeah, I guess that's on our calendar this month.
Oh, no
I mean,
way.
that's great. Um, I'm thinking about what projects you're working on because, again, you rooted in the past, and then thinking in terms of the future. And what do you see? Because are you still working with your 18 piece ensemble?
Um, lately I've not been. I've Most of my focus has been in the wind ensemble world. But I'm always thinking about how the music I'm writing now will inform my jazz writing and vice versa. I'm a firm believer that there's this magical intersection of these two languages, and I'm always on a hunt to just kind of hone and perfect whatever it is that that sounds like. So it's exciting to me, as I'm working on some wind ensemble music, to just think that when I go to sit down to write another piece for my big band, how will that have evolved and how will it have changed, and what kinds of sounds will I be able to cross over and how will it work? So I'm always thinking in that way.
Are there things you've encountered, let's say in the last 10 years, 3 years, 30 minutes, whatever, music that is new to you that for some reason, I'm thinking of an example once of a student composer back in when I was at SMU actively daily in the classroom, and we were doing shape note music and
Right,
teaching part of the American music. And I remember this student who was incredibly quiet guy. He wanted to sit in the back and get his work done and
right,
not have too much to do with the music history teacher later. And that was good.
right.
And we explored shape note singing,
Hmm.
and he came by my office later that day, first and only time, and just said, in effect, hearing this, totally new for him, as
Right,
you might expect,
right.
has changed his sense of. And then he went on to tell me various parts about timbre and about,
Hmm.
and then that was it, and he was gone. And I thought, wow, how excited was I about that? And I'm just wondering, have you had times, as much music as you know, goodness gracious, but where you
Right.
encounter something that you've never heard before?
Absolutely. So I am fortunate enough to be where I am. I spent the last 10 years at Berkeley just amongst world class musicians and colleagues, at the Berklee College of Music in Boston. And now I'm at the Peabody Conservatory here in Baltimore. And my chair is Dr. Joel Puckett, who is just a giant of a composer and just a warm, giving, caring person. And I'm auditing his wind band orchestration class because why not? My gosh, I've got this titan here who's teaching, about what it is that I'm in and what I want to get better at. And I swear, I tell him every day or every time after the class lets out, I just want to go back and burn down everything and start over because he just has me thinking about things in a new way. So now I'm really thinking about sound and timbre and the process in a way that I haven't really before, where I haven't really engaged with music making before. And I swear every week when I leave class, I look exhausted because I'm just turning over everything that I just received in my mind. And it's a thrill, and it's humbling, and it's kind of depressing, but also super exciting.
That's a fabulous description.
Yeah.
That's the best kind of learning, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have a feeling, Mr. Thomas, that if I were to be able to drop down and talk to you in 50 years, you might
Uh-huh.
be saying the same things with the same kind of enthusiasm about music.
And something that I think about all the time is I'm very into kind of astrophysics and quantum mechanics. It's a bit of my escape is to read about the grand scale of the universe and things on a small scale. And I think one of the truths about the universe that I hold dear, as a metaphor in my life, is that the more you zoom into things that seem solid, the more you realize that these solid things are actually empty space. And I feel like developing knowledge in an area is like that. The more you dig into whatever it is that you're focusing on, the more you realize how much you don't know, right? And there's just all this empty space here, and I guess if you're doing it correctly, that space is only going to get bigger and bigger as you understand the nuance of everything, that it takes to be a quote unquote master at the craft, which never actually happens because even the most accomplished people still, tend to have a laser focused vision on the things that they don't know yet.
Mm.
So, yeah, I guess you just have to embrace that and lean into that, right? And to just keep swimming towards the void.
Oh, oh my goodness. I'm excited just to hear all that you said. I know that our audience, which will go far beyond the
Hmm.
concert hall on the 26th of February, but will really zoom out to that greater universe of people to whom we
Yeah.
stream now. I think they're going to be very, very inspired by your message, and I hope particularly those band directors that helped you become who you are able to hear this, because as you say, they are shaping the future in ways that music
Correct.
acknowledges. The idea of the crossing of the disciplines, your love, your enthusiasm. We need more of that in the world. I'm just so happy to hear you say
Oh,
these
thank
things.
you so much. This has been tremendous, and thank you for spending time with me. Unfortunately, I can't make it to the concert, but please give my love to all of the musicians and tell them thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I look forward to being able to tune in and to check it out.
Well, that will be easy to do, and it will be a great pleasure. Thank you for joining me
Great.
today.
Thank you. My pleasure, Carol.
All the best.
All right. And to you as well. Take care, okay?
Yes. Bye.
Bye bye.